Today I am here after Christmas. Hope you all had a Merry Christmas. Coming up is New Year. And today we are going to be discussing a lot of topics. I hope you're going to enjoy it. And with me, as always, is my two best friends.
Dan Hohlfeld.
And?
Pete Halbleib.
All right. Now, Pete, last two episodes you've been doing the Hollow Earth, part 1 and part 2.
Yep.
Well, I have a Hollow Earth myself, so we can call this part 3 maybe. But I didn't do the General Bird side. I went ahead and I went the Nazi side. Not because it has anything to do with my hairstyle or the blue eyes. Just to let you all know, I know that thing. But anyway.
Well, that is it's an important part of this whole story, so I'm glad you're covering it because it is kind of it is really a part 3, or closes out the trilogy, I guess.
Yeah, the trilogy, which Star Wars. But anyway,
Speaking of which, you saw the new Star Wars.
I did see the new Star Wars. I watched it in 3D.
Holy shit! In La Crosse, they have
no. This was in Viroqua.
They have a 3D theater in Viroqua.
Well, yeah, it was just the glasses, so you can go see it. Yeah, I see all the movies in 3D that I can.
Huh.
And of course, I buy them in 3D so I can go home and watch them on my 3D TV. I like 3D.
Apparently.
Yeah, I really do.
I'm seeing things in 3D right now.
Yeah,
it's awesome.
It's amazing.
It's amazing.
But is it better than the old stuff?
Yeah, it was amazing. As a big Star Wars, geek, I got Star Wars collectibles and everything else. Actually, I'm looking at buying a guy's collection right now from him, all of it. However, we went and watched it in 3D. There's 8 of us, and we got there early, and there was no one there, so we figured, we didn't have to be here so early. And then about 20 minutes up to the beginning, it just filled up. I feel bad for the poor little kid I cut in front of. I apologize.
He's shoving kids out of the way.
Him and his dad were in front of us, and we had a group of 8, and we were trying to sit together.
Yeah.
So I was like, yeah, I'm just going to do the big Irish bald-headed thing and just walk in front of everybody into the group. And everybody followed me. And it was my daughter, her best friend, and then Jenna. So it was me and 3 women.
Looking pissed
and I was
off.
just
get out of my way.
Get out of my way. And there's this little kid there. And I was like, oh, shit, now I feel bad, So, of course, I go ahead and I was like, if you don't mind, sir, I said, we're just trying to sit together. He's like, I don't care. And the little kid's down there. Of course, I don't know. I kind of had to be nice to him. So I was like, I really like your jacket. And he was so proud of that jacket. Cause I don't know why. I just had to thank him, said something.
Found something to say.
Yeah, he was just
nice
to make up.
Yeah, he's like, thank you. And he's doing this, it was a nice jacket, too.
What kind of jacket was it?
It was green and had some orange zippers and an orange lining, so it looked, it kind of popped.
It wasn't a Star Wars jacket.
No, that was it. I probably would have ripped it off of him and took it away from him. That's my Star Wars jacket. But yeah, and then we're in line, and we all started talking about who's going to win, Captain America or Iron Man in the new movie coming up.
They're fighting each other?
Yeah.
Iron Man, totally, but okay.
Captain America.
Here we go.
Anyway, so we're talking about that. We get the whole crowd involved too. Everyone's watching us talk. We got our geek on. Yeah, I was with TC from the Nerdy Nation and Kyle and Caleb, and the 4 of us do some Nerdy Nation stuff. All geeked out. So anyway, we go into the movie. Let me get this quick because this is a long topic. So we go into the movie, 3D glasses, and all that, and it was truly epic. I mean, really it was. And I'll try to gloss over the best parts. Okay, 3D alone was really cool because they had a few points where the ship's actually coming right at you, and it just feels massive, which is, with a 3D movie, sometimes you miss that. They did a great job making you feel like you were actually seeing it in 3D, so that was excellent. And then they had some throwbacks. There's little things that you wouldn't know. I mean, you might know if you've seen the movies before, but I've only watched them 1,000 times. So they're giving something to the droid in the beginning, BB-8, and he kneels down just like Leia knelt down in front of R2-D2. The main female, she's running around the space station, and she's dressed in a white, kind of like Leia was in the first movie. There's these little subtle throwbacks to the actual original trilogy.
Oh, cool.
And if you watched it enough, or maybe even you didn't, but you kind of remember that reminds me of that time that X, Y, and Z happened. However, at the end, and I knew it was going to happen, but I didn't think it was going to happen in this movie. I just had a feeling, and I've read the books and the comics and whatnot. There's a hell of a twist, and I'm not going to give it up because I don't.
It's when Jar Jar Binks comes in and kills Princess Leia, right?
I can't get away from that guy.
Is Jar Jar in it?
No, thank God. Oh. Good. So yeah, great movie.
He's still pulling the strings from behind the scenes. Yeah, we won't see him until the next couple.
I hope not. But anyway, it was great. I had a great time. So anyway, here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna Hitler's Antarctic base, the myth and the reality. I have like 4 or 5 things here. I don't know how big I'm going to gloss over it. But all these links, this is a PDF file. This is actually from WikiLeaks.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, and I read some of this, and I'll be honest, it's pretty in-depth. It talks about how they were down there, but we don't know. I really just wanted to go ahead and just kind of bring this out so you at home can read it if you want, because there is quite a bit. Right here, where is that at? Well, anyway, so they went down with a boat called Schwabesland, and then they claimed a big chunk of this, and they call it the New Schwabesland. I'm going to get that wrong probably, so someone can correct me. And while they were down there, they started flying over there and whatnot. And what they're doing was they're taking these little Nazi flags and they're dropping them with the back of planes. So they just like laid claim to this 200-mile stretch of Antarctica.
Can you still do that?
I have no idea, but it's not a bad idea, right? Just start throwing a flag out there.
Yeah, just throw a flag in the ground and call it good.
Yeah. This is now mine. It's an iPod. I don't care. Here we have, this is interesting, this, the Oasis here. Now, what they were doing was they were flying over Antarctica, and they all of a sudden came out of this white, like, winter wonderland, and they came into a place that was brown, green, and had fluid water above freezing. And I wonder if they had any more pictures on this one. So there's some of they went down there, they had a boat like this with 2 planes on it. They're just taking off. Woohoo! There's landing. They're not going to show it.
Funny.
So anyway, so they go down there. They see that there's geothermal vents or something.
Oh, okay.
So they have the geothermal vents, and they go ahead and they're like, okay, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to create a base down here because it's between Argentina, like the coast of Africa, and then Antarctica is this triangle of power that they had. All right. So what they were trying to do is they built this base, and it was supposed to be a submarine base and whatnot. There's a lot of interesting stuff about that here coming up. So anyway, I don't know where to really go because there's so much information. I just kind of convey it as best I can. They're not going to have any more pictures.
So that was from WikiLeaks, you said.
Yep.
And what did you search on WikiLeaks to find the document?
I searched. I think this was underneath an Edward Snowden thing. Not 100%. But I just searched Hitler's Antarctic base.
Yeah. Probably get you there then, right?
So this is another excerpt from an alien agenda, and I don't know how much. This guy has a lot of good information. I won't be wrong, or tell you wrong. So they built this secret base, yada yada yada. Now this is dumb. I just don't like this.
When they put just a Photoshop deal?
I just don't like that. Now they talk about how the Nazis did have UFOs. Now, it's something that not a lot of people know of, or they don't know if it's that true or not. But they did have 2 different UFOs, apparently. The second one had a laser cannon mounted on the bottom that could go through 4 inches of steel. Now, there's pictures all over the place of the UFOs that the Nazis have developed. Now, they even have a test run where they show one actually taking off and then setting back down, which I forgot where I found that at. I should have put it in here. But anyway.
When you say laser cannon, I think of Prince of Space from Mystery Science Theater.
That is funny. All right, so they went in there. They found this place. They go down there, and they have what they called, pole people or northern people. Huh. I can't remember what they're called. This is Operation High Jump. This is what you covered.
Yeah.
So, where was that other part? Here we go. So, there was whalers that said they've seen that down there. There's UFOs. What's his name? Bird went down there. This is interesting. Now, I talked about Argentina. That brings me into this topic. Argentina was a safe haven for the Nazis. They use it quite a bit. Now, this is March 25th, 2015. They just found this base, what they think is a secret Nazi base in Argentina. Now, and this is important only because, for many reasons. One, it shows that we still know where all the Nazis' bases were. They had a huge amount of secret bases. There's another interesting tidbit. They had bases. Did you know that Nazis built underground bases? I mean, big underground bases.
Yeah, they had some huge ones.
After I covered that Dulce.
They had whole factories. They had mining operations right next to the factories and the refineries, and they had places for people to work underneath there. I mean, even like the slaves that they were using. massive. I mean, not a lot of people actually know that they were building huge underground cities.
They invented that jet, right at the end of the war, too little too late. What's it, the V-10? Or that was a missile, but there was they were manufacturing jets underground in one of these small factory cities that you're describing. And I can't remember, I caught a thing on public access a month or two ago on it, and it was super impressive because they made them bomb proof with 150 feet of reinforced concrete above them and stuff, and they meant business.
Oh yeah, they're huge.
Yep.
Massively
huge.
Yep. And I didn't even know about this until I was actually doing this research, and I kind of fell into this, like how big these bases were and how many they had, and I mean, they were drilling in the size of mountains and whatnot. It was really impressive. So
did they show a picture of what they were using to drill back then? Was it?
No, they didn't. And I haven't actually seen. Like, I just didn't do a lot of research or looked it up too much. But I haven't seen, other than just the mentioning of it in some documents, I haven't seen any videos, any YouTube videos, any pictures, and nothing on these humongous bases. Mm-hmm. It's one of the things that the Allies, apparently, what I read was the Allies didn't want people to know how far Hitler had actually really gone. As far as
what year are we talking?
Right, I guess 45, 46, 47.
Yeah, mid-40s figure, yeah.
And those pictures I showed were from the 80s of those boring machines.
Boring machines, yeah. And I'm sure they had something quite, not quite similar, but they had to have done it somehow. Right. And they did it quickly, which, that can get in a whole other subject about all the weapons they had and the UFOs and all that other stuff I don't want to get into. But this is a really short video. I'm going to show this right quick.
An Argentine archaeologist who discovered what he thinks was a hideout built for German Nazis to flee after World War II said more dark secrets may be buried there. Daniel Scavelzon grabbed headlines and revived uncomfortable memories for Argentina, a notorious refuge for Nazi war criminals, when he went public at the weekend with his discovery of mysterious ruins deep in the jungle that he suspected were planned as a Nazi hideout. Excavating at the three stone buildings, his team found a swastika etched in the ruins.
Are they sure it's not?
That swastika is facing the wrong way.
People probably just scratched it.
Opening to the wrong. Yeah, it's opening the wrong way.
They had coins and pottery there you just missed, though. That's
okay, yeah. Okay, well, that's a little more
convincing.
See how that one opens to the right, though?
Located in the Tayuqueri Provincial Park in northern Argentina, near the border with Paraguay.
It's still kind of just like a house, though, brick house or whatever, shack or whatever the hell it would have been.
Yeah, it doesn't look like a super expensive, like lavish hideout or anything.
We talked about it being just 3 buildings now, but they could have been looking at building more. I mean, the amount of stuff the Nazis stored away, we still haven't found a huge amount of gold, paintings, relics. I mean, the work they were doing, the occult alone, they have all sorts of stuff there. It's truly is pretty extensive how much they had that we can't find. All right, be quiet.
Huh. That is interesting. And Hitler himself was always fixated on the biggest and the most of everything. So it wouldn't surprise me he built some huge chamber underground and just all the gold he had put down there.
Yeah. There's huge amounts of stuff. Now this is going to get into the same things I was going to cover. But I'll breeze over it right quick. So Hitler died. He committed suicide, correct? That's what everyone's told. Well, a U-boat officer went to Argentina, turned himself in, and says, "Oh well, he's not dead. He jumped in a U-boat. He's down."
Yep. I've heard that before as well.
So they have that. There was also another report that he was down there, but his ashes, and his girlfriend, wife Eva.
Yep.
Eva was with him, or not. She was carrying the ashes.
Eva or is it Eva?
Potato.
So anyway, so I'm going to cover this. These are I forgot where these guys came or were talking about. I think they're on a radio show or something. But this is excellent. Did you cue this up for me, Dan?
Yep.
Thank you. So,
guy named Waddell or Waddell. One of his reports in 1823, Waddell wrote, I quote, "The ice in this region had completely disappeared. The temperature is mild, birds were observed flying around the ship, and groups of whales frolicked in the wake of the craft." And end quote. It has been suggested that the Reicher expedition found just such a place, one that contained huge ice caverns filled with warm water and living plants. Have you ever heard about this before, Nick?
No, this is new.
This is new stuff. Have you ever heard of the Hollow Earth theory? We talked
I was
about
going to
Hollow
say,
Moon last night. Have you
it
talked
coincides with that.
No.
You've never heard of the Hollow Earth theory?
Have not.
Interesting. I guess a lot of people believe that the center of the Earth is hollow, and there's a sun in the middle,
Right.
which is kind of symbolic because the core is the hottest,
Right.
but it's a lot of dense metals. But as I mentioned before, the hollow Earth in another way is really just caverns,
Right.
within the crust of the Earth.
Sure.
So reportedly, these Germans discovered areas containing caves, one of which was reported to have led to a large underground lake warmed from geothermal heat. Persons in both Norway and Britain were aware of these ice-free areas, but chose to suppress the information. They left them off of maps to prevent other nations from laying claim. Antarctica, theoretically, is the perfect secluded hideaway, as it is approximately 5,600 miles from Africa, 4,760 miles from Australia, and 1,870 miles from the southernmost tip of South America. Richter and Schwabenland returned to Hamburg in April of 1939, but with war fears rising that year and Hitler's attack on Poland in September, the German expedition was quickly forgotten, all but by the higher Nazi command.
Nazi James
By the
Bond.
mid-1940s, submarine bases had been built in New Schwabenland that became the site
She's not
of a
demonstrating
great buildup
safe
of
gun
supplies
handling.
and materials in addition to servicing U-boats operating in the South Atlantic. This site served as the southernmost point in a Nazi triangle of influence, including South Africa and Argentina, which is where some people reported seeing Adolf Hitler and Joseph Mengele, the Angel of Death, after the war was over. This major base became known as New Berlin, or Base 211. This new base in Antarctica, and this is all documented and this is all well true. The further extent of this story is what we're trying to uncover. German Navy Grand Admiral Karl Dönitz stated in 1943, quote, "The German submarine fleet is proud of having built for the Führer in another part of the world a Shangri-La on land, an impregnable fortress." The Norwegian Nazi Vidkun Quisling, at the trial of Nuremberg in 1945, stated, and I quote, "I believe I fought for a just cause and I refused to run away from my responsibilities when the Nazis, shortly after their final collapse, offered to convey me aboard a submarine to safe refuge." There was also reports that when Allies closed in on the capital, before Hitler supposedly shot himself, that there was a mass UFO sighting over Germany, and many high-ranking officials
supposed to
in
be
the
an
Reich
authentic photo.
were taken aboard these UFOs and disappeared.
There's a bunch
People
of
say that those are aliens. They were connected with the Vril Society,
shit.
communicating with
there a dog on
otherworldly
it?
spirits and creatures.
It's a
I don't
top
think
of a
it
corn
was that.
crib.
I think it was probably German flying saucers,
There's
which
more.
they perfected, and we're going to get a little bit of that information coming up.
Yeah, I never
The
seen
question
these.
of how the Nazis could have kept such a large base secret was explained in part by W.A. Harbinson, who stated, and I quote, "Regarding the possibility of the Germans building self-sufficient underground research factories in the Antarctic, it has only to be pointed out that the underground research centers of Nazi Germany were gigantic feats of construction containing wind tunnels, machine shops, assembly plants, launching pads, supply dumps, and accommodation for all who worked there, including adjoining camps for slaves, and yet very few people ever even knew they existed. Until I did the research, Nick, I didn't even know that these existed.
Yeah.
These large underground facilities in Germany.
Not something they teach.
Yeah, I watched these guys into the
See,
research.
I mean-
It's amazing.
If they could get the materials onto Antarctica,
As we just saw, U-boats. The general, when he surrendered, said he was offered to go by U-boat back to Antarctica, a safe haven. They had the big bases, so they could be self-sufficient in Antarctica. They found a geothermal vent that was pumping in hot water, and it had a cavern. Then, yeah, this is a possibility. Now, there's 460-some U-boats at the end of the war. There's at least 100. Rough estimates are anywhere between 46 and 100 that have not been discovered or scuttled or whatnot. Out of four of them out of that, at least, were some of the largest that they ever created, but they were not meant for anything more than really a transporting cargo. And four of them that they know about, actually, gave up. They went to Argentina. They were like, hey, one of the guys, after 3 months after the war was done, was like, I didn't even know the war was done. He like showed up, didn't even know, apparently.
Yeah. Didn't get the memo, right?
Yeah, right.
Yeah. These were also, they also had snorkels. This is one of the first, they were one of the most advanced U-boats they had because they had a snorkel system that they could raise up and actually change out their air.
While still being underground, yeah, because they used to have to surface.
Exactly, yeah. This is one of the first ones that had it. They also, when they gave themselves up, I mean, they literally said, you know, I could have stayed in Antarctica. There's a safe haven there. It's a Shangri-La. And they were talking about how they found this hole to the center of the hollow earth, that they found a cave to it. Went down there. Apparently, Hitler would talk to him as the true Aryan race, like the white, white people or whatnot. It's what
probably his idea, albino or something.
Well, yeah, they probably are. They're probably very pale skinned. And it's funny because German is actually an old language anyway. It's one of the first 4 languages or some shit I was reading. Excuse my English, but so if he was able to go down there and know German, then he might have had an opportunity to actually kind of converse somehow with them.
Recognize some of the words or whatever, yeah.
So apparently this is what the idea was. So he went down there, they found this cave, he got interested, they went back down there and they claimed all this land, created a base in essence, and the idea is that he was trying to get down there and take it over. Matter of fact, there's some theorists out there, and of course I'm a skeptic anyway, but I mean these guys are kind of nuts if you ask me. They're way out there, but they actually believe that he did jump in the U-boat, go down there. They did find the hollow earth. They went down to there, and now he is currently dead probably. But if he was still alive, he was down in the hollow earth with this race, and like chilling, like trying to make this third war type thing.
Well, because then my next question is, they've been there now for 70 years. They've been down in this super secret base. What's their plans?
Well, that's kind of what I was going to say. Why would they have it down there? Do they think it's just because there's no people there? Is why they would build it there?
It's so far away from everything. It's easy to defend or tough to take over.
It's very true because even Britain has the peninsula and all the islands. Britain laid claim to that. They have forts. They have their own military posts in Antarctica. Antarctica is completely secret, it's classified. They're not. You can go down there and just do scientific experiments. You can't go down there otherwise.
Yeah. You can't like vacation there or anything.
No. Matter of fact, we pulled up Google Maps, which I did the other day because I found some of these pictures of aliens and whatnot. There's huge swaths of just white. You can tell it's blurred out. What the hell is down in Antarctica that you don't want us to see? That's more interesting. I mean, Hollow Earth is interesting. The Nazis being down there and birds.
Well, they've got that giant seed world seed bank is in Antarctica, isn't it?
No, that's up in Switzerland or Finland or
kind of Norway.
So, yeah.
Oh, it's up over there somewhere.
I'm gonna do an episode on that.
Okay.
Yeah,
cool.
They've built that so if all the polar ice caps melt, it would still be like 13 feet above sea level or something.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, they did like the math to figure it out. It's pretty interesting stuff. Now, about the white people, the polar men or whatever, I think this is it here, or right around here.
It was told to Robert Byrd by this man that the original scientists and commandos had found an ancient tunnel, as they called it.
That's Google
And under
Maps.
orders, the force went through the tunnel, but only 2 returned before the Antarctic winter set in. During the winter months, the 2 survivors made absurd claims over the radio about what they called polar men.
Polar men.
Polar men, Nick.
Mm-hmm. Is this like frozen Germans?
It's like frozen German popsicles, yes. They talked about polar men, ancient tunnels, and Nazis. And some of this, I don't know if this is recorded, but it's probably documented in a transcript. Radio contact was finally lost in July of 1945, and for their mission, they went into the unknown. The last broadcast brought them further anxiety as the final broadcast they picked up, I guess, they heard the voice that the polar men had found them, and then screams, and then contact was lost.
Wow, this sounds like an excellent move.
So the polar men.
So they're not necessarily friendly to outsiders.
Yeah, so we're talking about the inner Earth people.
Yeah. And of course, when Byrd went down there, he was captured by them.
Yeah.
And he was gently brought down. They helped him out and they let him go.
And he agreed, to not spill the beans too publicly, at least.
And then, of course, Hitler goes down there. Next thing you know, then Byrd goes back down there with a fleet. Now, that's another interesting thing that I don't know if we brought up last time, but when Byrd went down there with that fleet, that was 2 months after the war was ended. and they were down there under, they were saying it was a research to
exploratory deal.
Yeah, to take photographs and map the coast. But all the pictures they brought back, none of them were referenced, so you couldn't put one by one.
Oh, sure.
So they just took like 17,000 pictures, like da-da-da-da-da. And then, of course, they lost planes, people. Matter of fact, I read an article.
Like, ship sunk?
Yeah, they read an article, and when they asked, like, how did these people die, he just put blown up. They didn't put, like, shot down, caught fire, just what happened to this plane? Blown up. That's kind of very basic, isn't it?
And not very military.
No. I don't think I could get away with that one.
Maybe the whole reason they built this down there is because they got the whole inner Earth. Think about that's a whole world.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's hard to get to, and if you have a whole nother race of technologically advanced people that are willing to help you out,
we don't know what they look like, do they? Do we, the inner Earth people? They don't look like that, do they?
I'm gonna say I'm going to Antarctica.
You said something about the woman. I wanted to bring this up because all my research I was actually interested. I'd never heard this before. And this one has nipples. Maybe I shouldn't have that on there. You can blur it. Anyway, so
I can classify it as art.
Yeah, good.
That's long hair.
What I didn't know until just the other day when I was doing this research is there was an SS group of just pure women, blonde-haired, blue-eyed, full Germanic, how do you say it, women that did not cut their hair because in Occult they didn't cut their hair. The hair was a way to converse with spirits or people or aliens, whatever it may be. They had they was part of an SS. They had blue uniforms that had the SS symbol on them. And when they went to grab these people at the end of the war, there was only a few, like 40 or some shit, I think is what it said. There was over 400. And one of the documents was that these women that were trained in like cooking, seduction, charm, they were also trained in hand-to-hand combat, Arctic survival. And they were sent to New Schwabisland, and there was 4 women to every 1 German. They were going to repopulate and like create this huge army down there. So I love long hair, and if you were down there and it was cold, you had 4 women to every 1 feller. I'm thinking I might have signed up for that. I will repopulate.
That's a little too long.
That's hugely long.
I'll take it
I
to
gotta
the
be honest.
bottom of the back.
I really like long hair, but. Yeah, these women, they talk about in this video, and then I started doing some more research. It's crazy, but
yeah, they wouldn't have any
interesting.
problem repopulating, that's for sure.
Let's talk about Tesla here in this video and something else,
And he's involved somehow with this?
Well, they only brought him up because Hitler was all about free energy. He wanted to find that perpetual energy. And they thought that he developed the UFOs, which I wish I could find that video. There's UFOs, Nazi UFOs, and they figured that the aliens were actually helping him, like, and whatnot. Well, Tesla came up with free energy also, for everybody, and they think that UFOs is helping him, or aliens were helping him, I should say, not UFOs. So you have this, Hitler had UFOs. They actually flew. He had rockets before anybody else did, and all this other stuff. Also, Operation Paperclip, when we took a bunch of scientists from Germany, there's also a bunch of scientists that came up missing. Again, put on U-boats, gone. So there's this huge amount of supplies, people, everything, all missing from Germany.
Yeah.
So you think they got diverted to Antarctica?
I think they all went to Antarctica.
Or South America, Antarctica. It's funny because some of those numbers that I've come across is some of the estimates put about 500,000 registered Nazis were never accounted for after the war. High-ranking officials, business people, things like that.
Holy shit.
Yeah. I mean, is that not kind of crazy? Now, I looked at Google Maps, and I was looking at this picture in particular, and I pulled out a Google map, or Google World, is it, or whatever. And I started scanning around. This is supposed to be a supposed UFO crash. I found some interesting things just kind of skirting around there. What gets me is the oasis in these places that don't have have this greenery and whatnot, or you can't find them anywhere. I did, however, find, and I know this isn't this topic, but I found a deal that had all these little lines, and I couldn't figure out what it was, so I looked it up. It's a HARP station, they think, down there in Antarctica. Massive.
Really?
Very big, very massive. But this is one of the caves they're talking about.
God, that does not surprise me because they have them all over the HARP.
Oh, there's at least 7 that we know about, they say. So, there's another long-haired chick.
Looking at a UFO.
She's not in Antarctica, right?
No. This is a complete fake picture. I actually hate that picture.
Really?
That must be what the inner Earth people
It looks
look
like it looks a little bit Photoshopped, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I'd be screaming too if I saw something like that walking towards me.
This is why is Antarctica still classified?
That's a nice
snowmobile deal there.
Snowmobile deal.
How did
I was hoping to find some more pictures of the...
Yeah, these UFO pictures are... I never seen these.
Really, you haven't? I mean, I really figured you would. I knew about these a long time ago. Because that's kind of maybe what drew me in. It's not going to load. But anyway, apparently they had the bell that was supposed to be able to do this. They apparently what was said was they used two different metals that are spinning in opposite directions. Supposedly, and this is going to be kind of hard to swallow for me and some other people, but they used red mercury, which apparently doesn't even exist. But red mercury is one of the heavy metals they used, and what that would do is it would create its own magnetic field. Then you could, field, and then you could raise up.
There's
and move
hence
around.
your anti-gravity stuff or whatever, right? It would create more of a repulsion force than the mass that it's trying to withstand.
Exactly, but the red mercury apparently doesn't exist because they use it in Star Trek.
What are we using the thermometers? That's
just mercury, but it's not red. It's
just
dyed.
dyed?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I don't know. So anyway, Hollow Earth. I love it. I can't believe it because, well, it's kind of hard to, imagining the sun in the middle of our Earth is very, very difficult for me to do.
Yeah, well, in that little clip you played earlier, they said, it could be a metaphor that it's really the hot iron molten center that's providing
There's just these caverns and everything else. Now, that I could buy into. I really could. There could be...
So imagine if you were somehow approaching that through these caverns or something, and it would be bright, it would be hot, and it's like, oh, there's a sun down here. That's,
absolutely.
And then, boom, it's just metaphorically a sun, but yeah, not like the sun is a giant star.
But isn't it like if you go in there, it's like it's outside?
It could be. I mean,
some folks have speculated that it's not as cavernous. It's just you go through caverns, then it opens up into another.
I mean, there could be
another world,
huge, openings, type thing, and there could be lakes down there. I mean, who knows?
Mm-hmm.
This is the reason I stopped on this is why is Antarctica still classified. The other thing is, do you know that if you were going to go into any caves, you have to register? You can't just walk into any cave. So if we did go to Antarctica, there was a cave down there. We have to go ahead and register to go down into the cave.
Register where?
The cave registration station.
Right at the door.
Seriously, I read this. You can't just walk into a cave. You have to have a federal.
You probably
cave
couldn't
person
legally
with you.
set foot on Antarctica without government approval.
Very true.
Would guess.
But see, there's caves alone. If you're not being guided by somebody, or if you don't have some kind of license, apparently is what I was reading. You're not allowed to go down there. So they've classified your caves. They've classified Antarctica. I mean, there's a lot of things out there.
Danger involved.
All you gotta do is fill out a confined space report and leave it at the door.
Yeah, right.
So, I don't know if I believe in the Hollow Earth per se. I like that you brought it up, and I love your two-parter. And I wanted to finish up with the Nazi side of things.
This is interesting. I haven't dug that deep into it. I've heard just the other rompings around the Hollow Earth stuff it's mentioned, but I've never dug into it that deep. That's pretty cool.
I mean, the only thing I find to be bewildering is if they do have an oasis down there, U-boats and all the women, the men, and everything else. Like you guys said, what are they waiting for? Like,
what's their end game? Now they should have had thousands of people in 70 years. I mean, you could be breeding at 15-year intervals. You'd have 4 generations of people, and the oldest would be
You have scientists down there and everything else. You'd have to have some kind of massive army, you would think, by now, or I don't know.
And imagine being born there, you wouldn't know what the outside world is really like.
Yeah. The biggest thing for me is all the lost shit the Nazis lost. I mean, they lost a gold train. Apparently, there's a whole train filled with gold.
I've heard of that. Yeah.
Boats the same way, U-boats the same way. There's relics. I mean, they even said they have the
Nazi artwork too. Is like there's a bunch of fine art that's still gone. Yeah, I can't find it.
Apparently the spear that stabbed Jesus, the spear of power. I forgot what the name of it is. They said that Hitler says he had it, and the one that's actually on display is supposedly fake, and that was supposedly secreted down to Antarctica too, along with all these other relics. Not to mention all the work he did for the occult and all the all that shit he did.
He was big into the occult.
Huge. They had whole SS branches just for occult and everything else. None of that information has ever been released.
No.
It's just one of those things like, oh yeah, he was in the occult. All right, next day on the topic. They don't talk about.
Well, they use it to say, look at how crazy he was. He was a member of an occult, but they don't talk about like the elixirs they drank and the communication with the spirit world that they did. And
I've looked into the occult. You know how hard it is to figure out what the it is, how to look into it. I mean, because most shit, because I really did. I was like, there has to be like a book I can read.
Yeah, like how to join an occult.
Yeah, or something, right? Yeah. And I was like, well, so I did some research. It's, the books on there, like, here it is. This is what the history of it is. But there's not a lot of information on the occult. I always thought it'd be interesting to get a bunch or meet somebody that's part of this, that practice this in a more professional level, not these crazies down here for $25. I reach my palm. But you know what I'm saying? I thought it'd be great. I want to know what they do, how they do it. I'm very curious. And no, it's hard to find any information on the shit. You can find the Antarctic Cookbook and the Revenge Cookbook on eBay in a heartbeat. You look up occult and they're like, we don't got nothing for you. Which is interesting because the less you know about something, that kind of makes it a little bit more special, Oh,
yeah, absolutely.
So, I don't know. What do you guys think? I mean, is it good? Was that a good three-parter? I tried. There's so much information.
No,
I jumped around.
That's interesting.
Yeah, I'd like to get back to that WikiLeaks article and read that on my own.
Yeah, definitely.
This next topic I'm going to talk about a little bit is aliens, UFOs depicted in ancient art.
Love it.
Because I think that we've heard about the UFOs and the Mona Lisa and this and that and all sorts of weird stuff.
This is big because this is kind of like what woke me up to the whole idea of aliens being real, seeing them in these ancient paintings.
Yeah, and we're not, just talking about something that kind of looks like what we would, a modern UFO or whatever, what we're told they look like or whatever, but they're pretty detailed, and it's not just a couple paintings either. I mean, there are tons and tons and tons of examples of this out there, and so what I did is I kind of collected a handful. I think I've got 5 here on the screen in front of me that I just want to talk about a little bit. We'll talk about the dates. What's interesting is a lot revolving around Jesus. There's a lot of Jesus baptism stuff and Mary and beams of light and disc-shaped objects and crazy stuff like that. So this is just a small fraction of what it really is out there to look at. But here we've got the baptism of Christ, painted in 1710. Okay, so I think we could all agree that was long before there's any modern influence to what aliens and stuff. And in this painting here, we've clearly got a golden shaped disc in the air. It looks like there's a sphere or something at the very center of it, and it's shooting 4 beams of light down to what I'm guessing is, Jesus getting baptized. Mm-hmm. And I mean, where in the Bible does it talk about giant discs? I guess I'm not that familiar with the Bible, but I mean,
it was rewritten 153 times. So
So they omitted stuff along the way.
This is God with his flash on his camera. He's all like, "Oh, my son!"
Yep.
Flick.
Yeah, he's got his testing out his new LED flashlight on him or something. Yeah. And this, was this a Dutch guy or something? I can't remember. It was somewhere in that area of the world where this painter had hailed from. The next photo here is the glorification of the Eucharist. Now, this is 16th century painting. So now we've gone from 1710 now to the 1500s. Okay, we'll call it 150 years because we're not exactly sure where in 1500 that is. But you've got God and you've got Jesus on the top, and then there's the peaceful dove. And then sitting between them is this metallic spherical ball and these antennas coming out that they're
Sputnik.
Yeah, it looks like Sputnik, right? And they're doing something. And then down below you've got all these what look to be like cardinals, religious people sitting around that altar thing.
I think they're tuning their TV.
Yeah, right. And
rabbit ears.
Yeah.
This looks like an
they're trying to get
here.
the Packers game in, Yeah, But yeah, it almost clearly looks like there's some sort of communication or receiving, sending going on there. And for 15th century, I mean, where does one even in the 1500s get a good concept of metallic things and antennas to begin with? I mean, maybe I'm just assigning that something that I'm familiar with, but pretty crazy. And this is, I forget where it is. This is actually in some place of worship somewhere. Yes. And I'd also like to point out that there's a lion laying there in the room too, in the lower left. Yeah, so
lion dog.
I was looking at the
the pyramid. The halo. Yeah, it's probably.
I didn't even see that. That was subconscious.
So they have that illuminated there, and then you have the Sputnik looking thing. And you're right, that is metallic. That's your reflection, which is pretty awkward.
It looks
This
like
kind of looks
the
like a little bit like an obelisk. If you were to be on the bottom side of an obelisk looking up, maybe.
Yeah, it's got
So that's
something.
pretty interesting stuff. I like that.
This looks like the Earth, the Sun, and the Moon, of course.
Oh, that could be it too.
Yeah.
Maybe
But
that's.
there's no land on the Earth part. That's interesting.
Oh, right here. Right here.
Yeah, maybe I could see that possibly. I'd like to get up a little closer to it.
What the hell is the antennas for then? They're not paintbrushes. They ain't painting anything.
Time travel.
Yeah, I was gonna say Dan's gonna debunk it right here. That represents something else that makes perfect sense. But yeah, they're doing something with
These
it.
little bastards always piss me off. These cherubs.
Yeah,
Do you know they were evil as shit angels? The cherubs were the warrior side of the angels, and then the modern,
cherubims and seraphims,
Yeah.
right? And are seraphims good
they
people?
weren't very kind. And we've in the modern and this type of era, they went ahead and they turned them into these little babies with wings, and we're like, oh.
Are these the same ones that shoot you with the arrows and make you fall in love with somebody?
Oh no, that's a trank dart, and that's
That's a roofie colada, and we'll get one of those after we get done here today.
All right.
So there's that one. Moving on, the crucifixion of the Christ. Now we're into 1350, and the paintings on top and the pictures on the bottom, and one on the left and the right are just the blow-ups of what you see in the top there. So you've got Jesus being crucified, and people riding around in what really looks to be like spaceships, right?
Yep.
Eggs.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Egg-shaped
They're the
spaceships.
Yeah.
And I mean,
That's really hard to say. What would you call that?
1350.
Yeah. And what's this guy sitting in down here?
yeah,
This white thing, kind of with the spear
yes,
coming out.
yeah. That maybe is that Pontius Pilate sitting on his throne or something. I don't know. I'm not that familiar with the painting. Other than
I don't know either. I've seen a lot of these though, and it's all good stuff.
Yep. So now we're
Because I like to see where they go with those.
Yeah, it's
two.
like, why the fuck would they make this up, you know?
how yeah, why that?
Yeah.
You know, I mean, we don't see weird.
And he's looking back too. Look at him. He's actually looking back at this one. And
Yeah.
so this one's chasing this poor bastard.
Catch me if you can,
Yeah.
he's thinking.
Yeah. I'm out of here.
Interesting.
Yep. Okay, and so now we go from canvas painting now to 10,000 BC in Italy. Here's a cave painting. So now you're some barely self-aware proto-human monkey thing.
Yep.
And you, I don't know, somehow figure out that if you smear something on a rock, this plant or whatever on a rock, it stays behind for a while. And then you draw that humanoid figures wearing helmets with some sort of radiation, maybe light or something coming off them, and holding some objects in their hands.
Out of all that you brought forward, these are the ones that get me the most.
Yeah, this makes no sense.
You cannot tell me that the cave paintings that you see with big bubbles around the head, the tribes still in Africa and places that do the tribal worship, and they have a guy come out and he's got a big helmet on and whatnot. They call that the gods that gave them life and all this other stuff. It's almost, I mean, to me, I like to believe in all this, but that to me makes it a lot more sense than saying some of the other stuff.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. That you're reading in the Bible and stuff like that. And mind you, this is, much long before civilization is out there.
And you would only paint things that were important. Like if you look at cave paintings, they're always talking about like the herds, and they'll show the animals, and they'll show them hunting. So it's a story. That's what they're doing. I mean, it's what the Bible is and everything else. They're stories to teach lessons, or they're stories to entertain. Either way, if I'm a caveman or close to whatever proto-human, like you said, I got 10 fingers and I know what to do with them. I'm gonna draw stuff on the painting or paint it on the wall. Yeah, I'm gonna paint antelope and woolly mammoths and like that you normally see, and the hunt and everything else, because you're celebrating. That's why you put it up on the wall. What in God's name are you celebrating? Putting people? I mean, there's literally cave paintings.
Unless it was just a documentation of an event, significant event, because they'll do like volcanic eruptions and
volcanic
stuff too.
Eruptions, the big hunts they go on. I mean, these are something that is significant to these people. That's why they took the time to, because they're hunter gatherers. They don't have a lot of time to sit on their ass and paint by numbers because they have nothing better to do. They need to be out there hunting and gathering to survive. So if you're going to take time out of your day to go ahead and put something on a wall, it's something that's significant, something that's important. Well, there's a huge amount of these that are, the the big-headed guys with the almond eyes.
Yes.
I mean,
I remember those.
That shows up all
over
over.
the place.
Yep.
I mean, you don't make it up. You're trying to convey
Looks
a message.
like the gray aliens. Yep.
This is the same thing with Peru and all the land glyphs there. You can't see them, but from the sky. I mean, they took the time out of their lives to make 1 mile straight, flat, even strips, and it doesn't serve a purpose. Mm-hmm. These people are not surviving, and they're like the Mayas, say maybe even had a huge amount of time on it. None of these guys had time on their hands.
No, they were struggling on every day. It was a fight for shelter and food. You know, I mean, and that's to survive.
Well, that's what we're told.
Well, yeah.
So.
But even either they had the time.
Maybe they're alien captors that were enslaving and were giving them enough food. To
Maybe there was a Nazi alien camp and they had nothing else to do, so they drew on the
concentration
wall.
camp for them guys.
Yeah.
But even then, I mean, even if you had time to sit on your ass, what are you gonna use it for? You're gonna make petroglyphs of humongous monkeys that you can only see from the sky. What the hell's the point of that? It doesn't serve a purpose. I mean, because religiously, Stonehenge, you can stand there and you can put all the stones up, and then you can see where the sun rises, the moon, and everything else, all that solstice.
Yeah.
But in Peru, they have humongous. They have a humongous 10, 20 mile long path of just divots. It looks like ants or something. Just divots in the ground, 16 by 1 billion or whatever. It goes all the way down this thing and up this mountain and everything else. I just saw it the other day. It blew my mind. It doesn't serve a purpose. There's no reason for these people to go out there and dig these little holes.
Yeah, and go. And it's probably super straight line. You couldn't, lay it straighter if you had modern equipment kind of stuff. And
you're telling me that these guys were just like, oh, I'm going to plink away at my bronze statue or whatever the hell the age they were in. They're like, let's dig a bunch of holes in a straight damn line.
Yeah, that
I don't
sounds
know
like
why. I mean, it wasn't like a sport, It's like, hey, you want to play today? Sure, I want to go ahead.
I can dig a hole faster than you.
I'm going to dig 14 today,
The work was the play back then.
Yeah. This is what, and this really gets me, amped up because.
Yep. But Dusty, we're not quite done.
I know.
There yet. I've got one more here that's even older, 13,000 BC.
Wow.
And now you've got a cave painting, the Lascaux Caves, it's in France, of a disc-shaped object, and look at the orbs around it.
Which is interesting because when we talk about UFO sightings, they
talk about a lot of orbs. Yep. Yeah, a lot of the UFO sightings are just orbs, and they could be... Maybe that's scanners or whatever they're dropping out. And
the mothership, and then little white balls come out of it and then zip around and go back.
Yeah,
those balls in New York that they seen.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, and over the White House, I think they had that happen.
Now let's
back in the
debunk this
day.
right quick. What they're displaying is a sombrero, the very first ever sombrero, with the little ball things that hang
that hang down around them. And the paint that was the strings is just worn off.
Yeah, it's just worn out.
Too thin.
Yeah.
No, but
how do you do that?
Where do you come up with that?
You don't. You cannot.
I would be interesting to know what, if at all, what other geometric shapes are being shown in these, show up in these cave paintings.
Oh yeah, very true. Very true.
I bet you won't find a lot of triangles and squares and stuff.
Right.
Well, this comes up to the other thing too. Like when they show old maps or old paintings like this, and then they have a circle, and they'll have 9 or 10 or 11, 12, little circles around that. It's the solar system. Way before we even realized solar system. I found one that was just kind of like I described, and it had Pluto on there. We didn't discover
hundreds
Pluto.
of years before we discovered,
like
if
thousands,
not 1,000, years before we discovered Pluto, it was
and they
shown
knew
on
they
there.
were there, and it's like, well, how the hell, right? And they apparently, it's just a decoration. Just so happens they're all pointed this way, whatever.
I want to even say like some of that stuff dates back to like 5,000 BC and the whole Anunnaki stuff. And whatnot. So anyway, I thought that was a pretty interesting topic. I love it. Trust me, if you go out there, there's dozens, if not scores, of more of these photos that you can look at and see. This is not the only evidence out there.
That's one of the key elements that kind of woke me up to the whole UFO thing, knowing it's real. So I wasn't even going to cover this, but I got so pissed off because this should actually be covered on the Social Fix, but
this is my
you can
drone.
cover it on
Since I don't get
social.
invited back.
Oh, nice. It's just little Sore feelings there, Dan?
I think I got too drunk last time and they got pissed off.
I didn't. I thought it was hilarious.
Well, Dan, I'll tell you what. You can't get too drunk for talk is cheap.
I thought it was funny as hell. Dan was like, I'm going to take this microphone. And Andy's like, you're going to.
I started talking about how this farmer fucking his cow. Or never mind.
Okay,
Watch the episode. He can throw it up there. It's funny as hell.
Yeah.
But anyway, since I'm into the whole technology thing, this is what pisses me off. Everyone who owns a drone will now have to register with FAA.
Because I own a drone.
Do you?
Yeah.
How big is it?
About the same size that one is.
Is it over a half pound?
Yeah.
Yeah, you'll have to register it.
Yep, here it is.
Bullshit. Mine has a camera on it too, and I'm learning how to fly it. I'm trying to dive bomb animals and shit with it. But
Yep, you've got until February 19th to register it.
I'm not going to register it.
Yeah, this whole law goes into effect December 21st, and you got till February 19th. If you register before February 19th, you get your $5 back. But this is what pisses me off. They say that there's millions of these things. So if we conservatively say that there's 2 million at $5 a pop, that's $10 million. Where the fuck is that money going?
Yeah, is it just going into the coffers?
I tried to look all over. Nobody wants to talk about where it's going.
Yep.
I suppose FAA, if they're going to put it in whatever.
Yeah, build new towers monitoring systems. Or...
Okay, my drone, granted, can probably go, 50, 60, 70 feet in the air. Why the hell do I got to register with FAA? I ain't flying it in the damn commercial airline area.
Because they say a lot of these people are flying them over. They had to say planes had to maneuver to get around them.
Yeah, flying them over airports.
So now everybody gets penalized because a couple idiots.
Just make it a no-fly
zone. That's how
zone.
it goes.
I knew they were going to do this because people are flying over.
It's no different than when you talk about gun ownership and stuff. A couple idiots ruin it for everybody, you know. And so what are they defining then, Dan, as what's going to qualify? Because I have a little battery powered remote control airplane that I fly around. Is that qualified?
Right here, the half pound, like you said.
Yeah, you click on the rule there. Is that the rule?
Yeah, try that.
Okay, let's see if we can get that.
So
Here's
wait, do you
FAA.
have to register if you're flying planes and helicopters?
This is the other thing I want to mention.
For small unmanned aircraft, see you might have to, if you have to register your radio controlled airplanes, there's millions of those out there too.
Listen to this. Mm-hmm. Okay, the FAA will charge $5 per registration, the same price to register a large commercial jet.
Oh, nice. Assholes.
The thing is that registration is only good for 3 years. So another 3 years, you got to pay another $5. Another $10 million. Where the fuck are they? That's a lot of money just to be thrown.
They did this because Amazon wants to do that drone thing, and they're going to fucking jump and make Amazon get they're going to get their cash from Amazon because they're going to try to do that drone. They want to be able to deliver your package in 2 days anywhere with a drone, which is excellent. But now I bet you the government's like, well, we ain't getting a cut of that proceeds.
Yeah, well, and just think of the military implications of that. Imagine if a ship pulls up, opens up its bay doors, and 15,000 explosive-laden drones that are programmed to go to the addresses and stuff of certain people just fly off.
I thought this said Bruce Wayne.
Oh.
Like you were scrolling through, I was like, Bruce Wayne, president and CEO. Oh, wow.
Yeah, so
that pisses me off though, because I have a drone because I want to learn how to fly it. There's a little camera on it, and I thought it'd be cool. We go out and shoot like Oktoberfest or Comic-Con, and I could fly it up there, and we could take some video of it.
That's it. I was always thinking about purchasing one because I wanted those aerial shots.
Yeah, and it's fun to fly.
Yeah.
Well, if you get good at it, I'm still trying to play with mine.
I didn't know you had one. We should do an episode with just fucking around with it.
Yeah, Jenna bought it for me for my birthday.
Oh.
Yeah, because I always wanted a drone, and then she got me one little camera on it. It looked just like that other one. And
What kind of camera is it? GoPro or?
no, it's just an itty bitty little like 420. It's nothing fancy at all.
okay.
Oh, I figured I'm gonna break it. It came with extra propellers and guards just because I figure I'm gonna break this son of a bitch. You know, at least 3 or 4
Well,
times.
now you're gonna be $5 more.
I ain't gonna do it. I'll wait till I'm good enough to buy the bigger one, and then I'll break this one.
That's the other thing. How are they going to implement this? Are they just going to cops? You watch out when there's a drone, and when it comes down, go up there and harass those guys and see if they paid their $5 or whatever.
Yeah, right.
How are they going to do this?
So if I go out, if I say I get good with this drone, and I decide to go out and buy a bigger one so we can attach a GoPro to it, then do I have to pay for the drone and then do I buy my license at the same time, or do I got to buy the drone and then turn around and pay?
I'm thinking some
license?
of these drone companies probably will do a package deal, I would think.
Yeah, or something.
And even so, I'm pissed off as all hell.
Yeah, it really
It
pissed
does
me
say
off.
that the FAA says that if you have multiple drones, you just have to register once and you can put the numbers on it. I'm guessing they're going to enforce that stuff, like if you get caught flying where you're not supposed to or crash it somewhere.
I guess I should state here the FAA said they didn't want to charge anything, but what did it say? The federal law requires them to charge something, so then they do $5. And it's like, well, we didn't want to charge anything, but here's $10 million. Now what are we going to do with that money?
Why don't you just charge me $1? That'd been easier.
Right.
Here's $1. Oh, I'm not pissed now because I'm still am because I don't see why I got to register it. I'm not flying anywhere but my backyard or at the park or some shit,
Yeah, there's all kinds of people pissed about it.
So February 19th, we have to.
I'll wait until I buy a bigger one.
I will probably not register my remote control airplane.
No.
Yeah, you have to do airplanes too, huh?
Yeah, it says any
Any
unmanned
unmanned
aerial
vehicle.
vehicle. Yeah, so think of that. Not only do you have the drones, 5 million drones, you got several million hobbyist RC planes, helicopters, like
Yep.
you said.
And helicopters, they have. They even have those guys that build them the chair, make the chairs fly and whatnot. No, they had every time they build something. Oh no, I guess they don't. Not every time they build something though. It's only one, and then you put all your numbers
and you can
on.
put all your number on it. Yep. So
I guess you're okay if you have. If you're a hobbyist, you
is
probably
that
got
model
4 or 5.
rocketry then? If you have I suppose a half-pound model rocket's a pretty big model rocket.
I
though.
did model rockets with a camera on it. We shot it up there, took a bunch of pictures.
As
Now,
it came down, yeah.
Yeah. So does that mean if I do that again, I have to register that?
Unmanned aerial.
There's going to be a lot of blurry lines on this.
Yeah, I'm not
And how are
going
they
to
gonna do
register
that
it.
one? Cop shows up. Don't know what you're talking about. The damn thing's broken.
And then the problem is it's kind of like gun confiscation. You start registering, they know who's got them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's a whole nother topic there, brother.
Penalties for those they include fines up to
Yep, 27,000.
and criminal fines up to $250,000.
In jail time.
Just
for
like
3
if you
years.
copy a movie, it was 250,000.
Yeah, right. Well, I've never done that.
So if they catch you
Unauthorized
flying a
reproduction
damn-
of an NFL or game accounts
Oh,
of an
yeah.
NFL game.
So if they catch me and they're like, "Oh, we're gonna give you jail time for 3 years for not having an unregistered drone in your backyard." I mean, could you imagine that? That's gonna fucking make everybody pissed
It's one of
off.
those things. There's all these laws.
Yeah, what
So
can
if-
your neighbor call and say he's got an
So
unregistered
if you get
drone?
in trouble with something, they can just say, "Oh, you don't have this, you don't have this, you don't have this."
Yep, and they
Anytime
can
they wanna get you.
choose
Why does this
how
make-
bad they want to punish you for
Why
it.
don't they
yeah.
just make shit no-fly zones? You can't fly over government buildings, can't fly over police stations and prisons, and you can't fly over something else, and just be done with it.
Yeah, the regulation is 5. You can't fly 5 miles within an airport.
Yeah, okay, so that's what they were saying that he had to do this for, so then fine. All right, so done. You're not making people register. I'm not going to register. I'm going to go to my little Japanese or Chinese website. I'm going to buy a bigger one until I can put a gun on the damn thing, and then I'm going to have...
People have already done that.
Well,
yeah.
I'm talking
With the
howitzer.
bottle rockets on it.
No.
I want,
They're shooting at people with it.
I want a howitzer on the bottom of mine. I like 17 all lined up together, lifting up a cannon. That'd be cool. I don't know. Like I said, I'll wait till I get a bigger one. Then I'll register it, and then I'll probably
Thinking
have it taken
Molotov
away.
cocktails.
It's just like
Drop
oh,
Molotov cocktails on things. Yeah, that'd be cool.
Well, if there's ever the next Civil War, drones will probably play a little bit in that, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
But it's called Skynet.
Yeah, Skynet. Yep. Yeah, that pisses me off too, Dan. That sucks.
All right, well, I want to thank you and for tuning in this week. I hope you enjoyed the show. I hope you had a great Christmas. I know that we did. I hope you have a very, very safe New Year's. If you're going to go out, please don't drink and drive. Get a DD, get a taxi. We don't need any of our fans getting hurt. Go over to the K2D4 network over here. Give some love to our other shows. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and share. I really hope you enjoyed the show. I know we enjoyed making it for you. So have a safe one. Bye.
Are we recording?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Red leather, yellow leather.
Red leather, yellow leather. I'm trying to make sure my voice don't get fucked up.
The trapezist's hands are on fire.
Well, that doesn't sound like a really good thing.
No, probably not.
All right.